Good morning, everybody. Certainly an honor and a privilege to be here today, and good to be able to do this in person after what we all went through last season. And certainly, I know everyone's enthused and excited. We feel like we're coming off our best off-season that we have had in our time at Oregon. So camp's around the corner. Again, excited to be here and looking forward to answering your questions.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports. I'll just follow up on that. You said best off-season since you've been here. Can you help kind of explain why that's been the case?
Well, I think the most important thing in the off-season is to find out what your team is all about, and in the form of presenting them with challenges, presenting them with adversity, finding ways to groom leadership. And after being apart from each other for an entire season, you know, the brotherhood of our football team, the chemistry, the dynamic that has made us strong over the years has always been investing time in each other. So the increased amount of team activity, spending time with each other, investing time in each other, getting to know each other, working hard, and then gaining respect for each other as people, as competitors, and as teammates has gone a long way. We feel that there's a very strong sense of urgency, detail, and intensity in our players, and they're ready to compete. They're ready for a very competitive, physical, and intense camp.
The quarterback position, obviously going to get some questions on that, but when fall camp starts here in about a week, is Anthony Brown still with the ones, and kind of what's going on behind him?
Anthony will start with the ones, and he has earned that. He's done a very good job from a performance standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, taking on Coach Moorhead's offensive scheme. And at the same time, the freshmen behind them have done an excellent job as well, and it merits them getting an opportunity to compete for that position as well. We will make that happen. I think it's an injustice to the game of football and to our program and our culture not to provide opportunity. But that being said, when we start practice, Anthony will start off with the ones, and he has earned that.
Following on Anthony, Mario, just what did he get from your perspective and in conversations with him, just what did he get this summer out of working in Atlanta with Quincy, obviously, who he works with anyway, and at the Manning Academy? What did he get out of those experiences?
Well, I think technically and fundamentally the quarterback position never ceases, right? You're always looking for the next best thing to help you from a technical and fundamental standpoint. I think now after having done or having experienced Coach Moorhead's coaching style, sitting in meetings with him, reviewing film, and then experiencing a spring ball in the offseason with our players, you know, a lot of the stuff that he takes home with him, he can apply to those training sessions as well. He's done that, and there's always carryover when you do that. I think our players sense it, our team senses it. I think he's poised to have a really big season. We're excited for him.
Guys recover from ACLs, whether they're on the original team, transfer, what have you. What went into your assessment of Anthony, given that it was both knees and it was on both run plays and in kind of fluke circumstances? What was your evaluation of the injury side of things beyond what you saw obviously positively from his play?
Sure, I think whenever you hear that word, you know that it's a tough injury, the ACL, and when you hear that someone's had two of them, you know it causes concern initially. But you know, I was fortunate enough to be in the presence of a great one by the name of Frank Gore, who had both ACLs done. And I remember the doctor telling us as a staff saying, well, you have better knees now, or Frank has better knees now than what he was born with. And in the case of Anthony, you know, we feel that both procedures were extremely successful. They're way behind them, so those knees are strong. And he's been durable in his time with us, and we've trained a certain way to make him even more durable. So fully confident in his physicality and his durability.
Hey, Coach. Nick Hamilton, Nightcast Media. I wanted to ask you about Kevon Thibodeaux. We know how demonstrative he is on the field, but just to speak to his character, not just on the field, but off the field, and what have you seen out of that young man in the last couple of years?
I think that's the best part of him. I think anytime you sign a player that has that five-star status, you want his work ethic, his demeanor, his leadership qualities to be that of a five-star as well, and he has that. And I think it's his best quality. I think the way he pushes himself, the way he demands of himself is really his best trait, and I think it carries over in a great examples and leadership for those that are coming up behind them, for his current teammates to follow suit, his current teammates to push each other as well. So there's nothing better than when your best players are your best leaders, And you got to realize he's now going to his third year. And I know that you guys see a mature physical guy that's made a lot of plays, real explosive. There's some great stuff there. I mean, a lot of highlights. In reality, this is now his third year of playing college football. Still a young man, really, after 1.5 years. Last year was a very truncated season. So his best football is ahead of him. His best days of leadership, of performance, of all those things that come with this, being a student athlete, his best days are ahead of him. And the expectation is that we're going to challenge him because he has such a high ceiling. We got to get him to that ceiling. And we're going to challenge him as best as we possibly can to make sure he reaches his full potential.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Hi, Coach. Gerard Moncure, Fox 11 here in L.A. Just curious, after winning the last 2 championship games in this this conference, how do you like your program having that bullseye on its back? Is that something you take pride in? You welcome that challenge?
I was asked that question earlier, and I had a tough time digesting it in my simplicity and my mindset because I've never, and we will never see ourselves as a program with a bullseye on us, a target on us. It's never been that way. It never will be that way. When we wake up in the morning and our feet hit the ground, we get up with a hunger and a drive and determination to make sure that we're always a hunter in a humble way, in a driven way. So all the other stuff, the fluff and the predictions, it doesn't factor into our regimen, our structure, our DNA, our mentality. So
Thank you,
I
Coach.
hope that makes sense. Thank you, sir.
A running back question. Obviously, we know what they've got with CJ and Travis, but Sean had an injury. I think Trey's recovering, and a couple guys just got here. What do you kind of see from that position group and where it is right now?
Fully confident in them. They've shown it. I mean, guys that don't get mentioned at all, Aaron and Cross have done a great job too, stepping in there. They showed they were explosive football players that can help us win. And watching, and what I've watched so far of both Byron and Seven, those guys are going to help right away. Those guys have elite talent. They're physical, they're strong. You could push them. They already know that in our regiment. They're going to get pushed. They're going to get challenged hard and strong, and they've responded really well to that. Byron's a bigger guy now. He's 215 pounds just about and still growing. And Seven is a lot bigger than you would think coming in, just so explosive and dynamic, with the ball in his hands and not only out of the backfield, but out, spread out there as a wide receiver as well and on special teams and those units also. So all in all, we felt very good about our depth at that position.
You've had a pretty good staff of analysts over your years at Oregon, but you add Nick and Jimmy this offseason. Rare to have that kind of talent in an analyst capacity. What does it mean to you, to the program, to add a guy who ran Tim's defense and Nick, and obviously has had a pretty nice career, and Jimmy, an SEC defensive line coach and premier recruiter, in analyst roles for this program? Just what do they bring to the table for you?
Well, appreciate you mentioning that because those guys, we're always looking to add brain power, manpower, the ability to teach better, to create teaching progressions, off-field regimentation, off-season regimentation, film study processes during the year. Anything an analyst is allowed to do, we want to increase that and make it better. To have a guy that knows Tim's system, that has done it before, is of extreme value. As a coordinator, you always want to surround a coordinator with guys that are familiar with what he does to try to give him the best chance for success. And then you look at the Pete Jenkins, D-line coaching tree. Coach Brumbaugh is one of those guys that, stands out as one of those premier guys. So Joe Salaveo, we feel is the best in the country of what he does, and to supplement our defensive staff and our special team staff with guys like Coach Toth and guys like Coach Brumbaugh makes us a stronger staff, makes us a better staff, and gives us a better chance to be successful on defense and on special teams.
What does it mean to you that KT in the offseason doesn't just come down here, work out where he's worked out for years, but seeks out someone like Chuck, who has obviously worked with all the premier pass rushers in the NFL, that he takes that on himself to do in an offseason?
It's just another indication that he understands that it takes what it takes. We're in a profession where you have to be committed to improvement in every aspect of what you do and how you do it. And if you're not, you are falling behind. There is no staying the same. You're either getting better or someone's passing you up. And that's just another example of a guy being proactive to perfect his craft, to better himself, to bring something else to the table that may be the difference in a game, in a conference title, or something of that nature. So it's awesome. I think if you look at our players and watch what they've done, you'll see a lot of guys are following suit, doing the same kind of thing.
We were talking to Kevon about the NIL opportunities that have come his way. Are you concerned at all that there could be rift in the locker room between like sort of the haves and have-nots when it comes to NIL? Not necessarily specific to him, but maybe in general across the sport.
Well, because it is a unprecedented situation and aspect, right? I think everyone is wondering what it's going to be like. I also think it's a great, I would say, preschool for real life. Life isn't fair, right? They're going to be in job situations, career opportunities where they may not be making as much as somebody else does, might be working just as hard, being just as productive, but somehow it just doesn't go their way. So this is a direct reflection of what the real world is like as well. Now, what do? You make sure that that's very clear, that that's understood, so that everything is still geared and steered towards performance in the classroom, on the field, becoming the right type of brotherhood and football program and team and family, because if you allow that to get chipped away at, you're going to fracture a culture. You're going to fracture a team dynamic. So you have to be in tune with it. You have to be very real with it. I think that's the part that just stands true always, right? Just be real, be honest, be transparent. And then when things come up, just understand that we live in a world and we live and work in a profession of conflict, right? Adversity, and that comes with it. So it's just more practice.
Hey, Coach. My name is Marja Baker, and I'm reporting on, from TG Sports. Quick question. The return of your inside linebacker, Justin Flowe, can you speak on his off-season rehab and him coming back and how excited you're happy to have him back, please?
Really excited for Justin. I think those that saw him perform in the spring game saw how explosive he is. The fact that he is a very physical player, very talented player, goes from 0 to 60 in a snap, very smart player. Guy's worked really hard, not only in the classroom, but on the field, on his rehab as well after being injured last year. So expecting big things from him and the rest of the linebacking core.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Matt Preem, 24/7 Sports. Hi, Mario.
How you doing, buddy?
June, you were able to recruit. What was that experience like? Obviously, it was pretty good for you with the commitments. I know you can't talk about it, but and then how did it set you up for season and recruiting and being able to maybe focus more on the season instead of both?
Well, we never feel like where we need to be in recruiting. You always want to continue to elevate the level of the caliber of athlete, competitor that you bring into the program, but to be able to get out there and actually watch some things live, it's always going to be the best form of evaluation. There's no film study in the world that can ever replicate being there live and watching someone perform. And it could be in the form of not only a football game or practice, it could be in the form of a track and field event, a basketball game. Those things are critical. So it was good to get out in the month of June. I feel like we've gained a lot of momentum in recruiting. It's been, I feel like now that, we're so young, right? Like our first complete class is now in their third year of college football. So we are very young. 75% of our team are made up of underclassmen. But you look at that and the fact that they're doing as well as they're doing, it really bodes well for the next 2, 3, 4, and 5 years of Oregon football. It makes us more motivated, more excited. Guys are having success from all over the country. They're finding out that, if they're really serious about football, academics, a great life after football, that Oregon is the destination. So we have to keep our foot on the gas, keep working hard, and keep presenting ourselves, as genuinely as we always have been.
Hey Mario, Nick Selby from from Sports Illustrated. What have been your early impressions of new Commissioner George Klevkov?
Of who, I'm sorry?
Of new Commissioner George Klevkov.
Yeah, he really made a great impression on us yesterday. We had a chance to meet with him and sit down with him for a little bit. Tremendously intelligent, great presence, confident, organized, detailed, and has a plan and understands the dynamic of what college football is and what's coming with it, as well as what the conference needs to do to forge ourselves and push ourselves to continue to gain more prominence and become a prominent player in the whole league. So all in all, we think that he's going to make a tremendous difference and going to have a tremendous impact.
And what are you hoping to see from the new regime that might be different from the previous one?
One more time, I'm sorry.
What are you hoping to see from the new regime that might be different from the previous one?
I never, whether it be as a coach and coaching at a new place or something like this, I never talk about the old stuff because I think there's a lot of positive things that were done, and you want to focus on that. Take the gift that was left behind and go forward and honor it by doing your best going forward. So all we look forward to is strong leadership that's going to be a difference maker and have an impact. That's what we're looking forward to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To go back to recruiting, Mario, I'd asked you at signing day in 19 about hitting Texas. Why was this cycle the year to really make a big, strong push there, and how much did the future games with Oklahoma State, Baylor, Texas Tech play into that, if at all?
Well, I think the results in Texas this year are the result of working at it for a couple of years. You got to plant some seeds and continue working and cultivating an area. And I think that now this is, we're recruiting hard. As you know, I can't comment on certain players or whatnot, but we're heavily invested in the state of Texas as well as other parts of the country because we believe that the football and the coaching there is off the charts. It's awesome. But we always felt that Oregon, when Oregon has been really good in previous years, that part of the country and other parts, have been really instrumental in making that a reality. So we're heavily invested.
To the scholarship management component of recruiting in this year because of the super seniors, because of everybody's clocks were paused, how much did you have to have frank conversations with your quote-unquote juniors who are true seniors about what their plans are? Do you enter it assuming those 10 players and somebody like a KT moves on? Is it assumptions versus conversations? How much are you?
No, you're always transparent. You have conversations and you're upfront, but I don't think you put a cap on recruiting or a cap on numbers. I think anytime you do, you end up falling short. I think it always, as long as you have a detailed plan, it works itself out. We plan on signing a full class again, and we're going to do that every single year. Just, with early departures and whatnot, and sometimes the transfer portal, the numbers end up working out. So we're going to stay very aggressive on the recruiting front and bringing in talent.
Hi, Mario. Brad Susmat, Sports 360 from Arizona. Ty Thompson, speaking of recruiting, just a bunch of players from Arizona, but let's just go with Ty Thompson and how he looks, where he fits.
He is off the charts, as talented as it gets, as driven, as motivated as it gets, diligent, smart, competitor, relentless, physical, an absolute specimen. I mean, when he's in there lifting, he looks like a linebacker more than a quarterback. Precision, passer, throws a deep ball well, the short game, the intermediate ball, great touch on the long ball, very accurate, very decisive, understands coverages and protections really well, is a grinder in the film room. We couldn't have asked for a better signee at quarterback. Ty has a monster future at the University of Oregon, and he's in the mix as we head into fall camp.
Where in the mix?
Well, that'll take care of itself as we compete, but he is in there, and he's in there strong.
Buckner, just a thumbnail on Buckner so far.
He is to quote one of my old coaches, he's like a rolling ball of butcher knives, man. He just goes. He has got great technique, great motor. Obviously, his father was a great player and a great football coach, so he comes in advanced in terms of the use of his hands, his get-off, understanding offensive schemes, right? Alignment, splits, backfield sets, quarterback indicators. Grinder of a worker. I mean, I think you saw, I don't know if you saw him in the weight room last week, squatted 500-plus pounds and didn't really struggle to do so. So he's the guy. I know he was one of the players of the year in the state of Arizona. Big things expected from him as well, and we are honored to have him in the program. Walden's a stud. Arizona was a heavy hit for us last year, and rightfully so. The football played there is awesome. Walden and Jeffers are together now. Jalen, they both played at Swallow together. Walden is another guy that is just physical. And you watch him play in high school. All he did was go after people. As he is not passive in pass protection. He is aggressive. He looks like a run blocker in pass protection. He's heavy-handed, but light-footed, can slide his feet, can anchor, plays with great balance and body control, can block low to high, gets his feet in the ground with a flat back, creates a lot of movement at the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's talented enough to play defensive line. That's how athletic he is. So absolutely thrilled to have him. He's weighing 302 pounds right now. So he's really, really put on some mass, good kind of mass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach. Blair Angulo with 24/7 Sports. In the modern recruiting landscape, especially nationally, how important have the big recruiting events like Saturday Night Live become to success in every recruiting class?
I think anytime you can get your top prospects on campus, it is critically important, and SNL for us has been that, at the end of the summer. If you look at a lot of guys on our current roster, a good chunk of them attended our event or other events on campus. It's just, we're fortunate. Oregon's a special place. You set foot on campus, you realize right away it's different. The investment in the student athlete, the resources are a very different level, which screams of investment. It screams of commitment. And so when they get to see that, and plus they get to compete with other guys, some of them commitments that are on their way to Oregon, it's pretty powerful. They want to be at a place like that. They want to be on the same team with guys like them. So all in all, it's a great event. It's a great atmosphere, and certainly something that's really strong for us and powerful in recruiting.
5 more minutes.
USC joined you guys in the top 10 in the recruiting rankings in the previous cycle. How much is that battle, that competition between those two programs pushing Oregon to be its best at recruiting?
I just think it's like everything we do, we really focus on ourselves. We don't really get into who or what anybody else is doing. We know we have great teams in the conference that are going to recruit well and that have historically recruited really well. But it all comes back to us. We have certain expectations for ourselves that we're not going to deviate from, we're not going to lower. So every ounce of what we have, effort, passion, energy, is completely committed and just geared towards us doing what we do.
All 5 starters back on the offensive line and like a 6th quasi guy in Steven. You guys have a lot of bodies back, but a lot of talented younger players too. What's the balancing act of getting those guys reps in practice, and the competition there must be pretty immense?
Practice. Those young players are extremely talented, and they're going to be ready to play, and they're going to be ready to compete. And the best thing is guys like Alex Forsythe does a great job taking those guys underneath his wing and teaching them culture of how we do things. And he knows that these young guys are going to factor into playing this year. They are that talented. They are that good, and they are physically ready. You saw Jackson Powers Johnson. I mean, he's benching close to 5. He's squatting well over 5. His power clean is in the 330 range. Kingsley's in the same boat as him. Bram's in the same boat. Faupe's been here. Harper has been here. Jonathan Dennis. All those guys have had outstanding summers, and they're ready to play football. They're ready to go. Stevens had an unbelievable summer. He's about 336 right now. And, I think Panay's mad because Steven ran faster than him on the GPS, so we had to send that to Panay so he knows that somebody's finally faster than his big old butt is. So, but all in all, very pleased with the way those guys are pushing, and it all starts with the guy on the other stage, Alex Forsythe, tremendous leader.
I just had a quick follow-up on that. Do you think you'll rotate still like you did last year where you had 6 guys playing kind of even snaps? Or
I think we'll play a lot of guys. I think we will, and I think if the best thing is talk to Panay. Been playing left tackle. He gets drafted 6th overall. What's he do right away? Right tackle. Versatility is important for the current situation, our football team, and versatility is important for their career going forward. They have to be able to bounce around and be versatile and play different positions.
Last year, you mentioned the importance or the lack of a full training camp and the
Yes.
off-season training. You didn't use it as an excuse, but can you maybe explain where your team is now going into fall camp compared to where you were last year without the training?
Yeah, well, we're ahead physically, without question. We can go right into fall camp, and instead of picking up where we left off, we're picking up where we should be right after this whatever 6-day break that they get. There is no pulling back on the reins. We've had a great offseason, both in terms of the winter program, spring football, phase 2 of strength and conditioning, and then the summer. So we've had a chance to implement our systems again and reinstall again by player-led practices, which grooms leadership. Our bodies have developed tremendously. Guys have put on the right kind of weight and lost the wrong kind of weight. It's where you want to be at this point in time in the calendar.
And just one last question is, what excites you about this team? Like when you look at it,
Why? To me, the fact, look, and I know a lot of people talk about some of these talented guys and the young guys and everything else. What excites me the most is that we're throwing some serious adversity and challenges at these guys. Like, we're pushing them hard, and the only response has been, bring it. And it's going to be that way because they got to know, they already know we're going to make camp as physically challenging as it can be, in a smart way. We don't tread on the other side of that line. But to be the team that we want to be, we have to learn how to be a much better team when adversity strikes. It's going to strike every single team in this hotel, right? And we got to be really good at it.
One last question over there.
All right, Coach Lynn Harrington, State Line Power 5, how you doing?
Good, how are you, buddy?
All right. So Oregon has won the last 2 Pac-12 titles, but hasn't got a sniff of the playoffs. What are you doing to keep your players motivated and hungry, and that just winning the Pac-12 title is not the ceiling for this program?
Yeah, we live and die by winning. We live and die, and for us, this is life. That's our DNA. You mentioned the word sniff. I don't know what that means in terms of how you used it. In 2019, we were knocking at the door, and we didn't get it done. We didn't finish it off. So we have very big aspirations and goals for this program. We attack it on a daily basis without any outside factors or noise being involved in it. We want nothing but the absolute biggest and greatest accomplishments on the biggest stage and at the brightest lights, and we're going to relentlessly work at it till we get there. And every single part of it is important. Every game, every conference championship, no matter what it is, it's important. And for us, there are no little things. They are all big things, and that's our focus.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's it for Oregon.